Hello, everyone, and welcome to Pillar to Post. I am Rashaun Alleyne, and joined as always by Kobia Hamblin. And together we are going to preview the Honoring the Barbados Turf Club Former Employees Race Day. It's an 8 race card, and we're going to jump right into it where the most exciting race might be race number one.
What a way to start off the race day with arguably the most exciting horse in Barbados right now. I mean, basically galloping the track record not once, but twice. I mean, solidifying that I am here to be a big one. Mystic Rain is back in action. After 21 days, a slight layoff, he's back in this race with his stablemate, sorry. So Lee Levon, they also match up with who's been missing for a little while, Dapper David and Macchiato. Rashaun, I don't think there's much to say about this race besides it's hard to look away from Mystic Rain. It's really, really hard to look away from a horse that is exercise galloping the track record at this point.
Yeah, he's definitely hovering in the track record. He ran 134 to break his maiden, and then goes even faster in his second start in 133 and 4. Where in his fourth start to be putting up these kind of numbers is insane. And as you mentioned, the writer has not been asking him in these starts. So I I find it hard to see why you would want to go against this horse. He's just been doing it super easy. He's going to get the same conditions as well, small field, firm ground. But one thing has changed, and that is that Jarrell Beckles is declared. And I think that's obviously going to raise some eyebrows or has already raised eyebrows as to why a horse who's been doing things like Mystic Rain, that a jockey will get off after he's just been so close to the track record.
Yeah, I mean, anyone with any form of horse racing sense is going to wonder why would you opt out for this time, especially for a horse that hasn't actually been the particular distance. But I mean, I don't ride them. I don't know how they feel. I don't know what I'm not seeing on the morning. But let's see what Rashi Hughes thinks is in store with Celie Levant. Let's see if we're missing something. Let's see if she has the ability to turn the tables on the gallant colt because
Yeah.
I just don't see anything beating him.
Well, on her, just really quickly, and I'll tap on Dapper David, then we can move on. She's never gone to trip, but she's won very impressively at 5.5. So she Mystic Rain has a real full in Soleil Levant, but I just find it hard to believe that at this point, Soleil Levant is going to step up and do things even better than Mystic Rain. It's very interesting to see if that Hughes is on board this one. She's a good horse. She's bred to stay. And I think going 1,570 meters is what she wants to do and even further. But to beat Mystic Crane, I think it's going to be very tough. And then Dapper David is a horse that I've been looking forward to seeing since his debut. Very impressive 2-year-old. And then just went missing, as you can hear all the rumblings behind the scenes of why he took so long to come back. But he's back, and he's nominated for the Guineas. But this is a deep race to try to get some points in.
Yeah, I think it is a tall order for Dapper David, especially coming off of a layoff. He's been missing for just about 231 days for whatever reason or the next. But I mean, he was one of our, if not our first 2-year-old race winner. So it's still left to see who's able to take down Flying Jenny, but more on that a bit later. Let's see where he goes. But for my pick, I'm sticking with horse number 4, Mystic Rain in race 1.
Yeah, I'm shocking. I'm going to go against Rashid here. I'm going to take Mystic Rain. If he runs, I find it hard that anything's going to beat him. So we move on to race number 2. It's the Radcliffe Hewitt Memorial Handicap. It's for our 60s and lowers going 1,800 meters. And we got kind of a rematch of sorts from Gold Cup Day with the horses drawn 1 through 5. And you're going to take number 5, Delicious Angel, to rebound.
Yeah, I'm going to take horse number 5, Delicious Angel. I'm looking for Devante Abraham to take the bull by the horns and take this horse in lead and do exactly what he did about 2 or 3 race days ago. I think I remember this race day was back in January, where he went from pillar to post, of course, and showed them how it is done on a horse like this. Now, another horse that I'm really looking at, especially coming out of Gold Cup Day, is Mandarin Oriental, who I'm looking for to come back to winning ways. I don't see him running any better than second, but he is my highlight in this race particularly. Here he is, Gold Cup Day, beating said Delicious Angel. And I find he comes to the leader, ironically, is Luscious, who also does this and just stops. But I think this one race day, I think especially with, excuse me, I think especially with the 3-pound claim and the weights being so close this time, he has a far better chance at running second, maybe even nipping off Delicious Angel from the top board. But Delicious Angel is my horse to beat. I think this race is between 5, 3, and 2. However you put them, you can put them in a hat and pull one. Good luck. But I see you did change my number 3 for number 4. Where do you see that coming?
So I'm just gonna talk about Mystique first, and then go into Mandarin Oriental and why I faded him here. But Mystique is coming out of that race behind Luscious, where she finished. She finished sixth, and she was very wide on that day. She broke poorly. Jockey had to adjust the stirrups and passed the stance for the first time, like 5 lengths behind the second last horse. Then makes this early wide move up the backstretch. But if you watch Mystique, she never stops running. This is a horse who just kept going, but again, you're not going to run wide and from behind and beat horses like Luscious that are in form and doing really well.
Correct.
So I think stretching out here to 9 furlongs with a smaller field, with Rashid Hughes on board, getting back on board because Rocco rode on a Gold Cup day. And then, as you mentioned with the weight, the horses that she's supposed to beat, like Manor Oriental up to Delicia's Angel, are within the same from 3 to up to 4 pounds from where she is. So I'm not really turned off by the 124 pounds. So I think with the better trip, she will be a horse to beat. I'll take Delicia's Angel underneath the claim of 7 pounds. She could not beat these with 128 on Gold Cup Day. So claiming is the right choice here by Richard Dean. And I like her. I think she could wire these, but I think Mystique just had more of a trip last time out. So I'm going to take Mystique over her. And then on my third line, I'll take Drogon. Drogon finished third off a sprint race last time. So maybe third off the bench here. This 6-year-old will be even better primed to run a big race. He likes 9 furlongs more than the mile. Mandarin Oriental, I'm just a little poor taste in my mouth because I picked him with over Showtime last time out, and he just did not run that impressively to me. So I'm going to fade him because his races have been just okay. I want
Mhm.
to take someone in this spot that the races are a little bit more impressive. But he definitely has a shot in here too. But obviously, you have to take a stance somewhere. So I'm going to go 2, 5, and 4 in race number two.
Okay, Rashaun, as we take a step onto race number 4, the middle of the card, the David Matthews Memorial, a lot of
We're
race
actually
winners.
race three up next, actually. The
Oh,
Christopher
I'm
J. Arma
sorry.
Memorial Handicap. You're good. We're human. It's at 1,100 meters for the 75 and lower. And this one's another competitive one. And we talk about how our imports are really impressive at three. Ziba is going to get a lot of talk in this spot. You're going to take her.
Yeah, I have to take her. Coming from her first start, the last race Gold Cup, they were solely Livon one. You know, we just spoke on her not too long ago. Zeba made a really interesting effort, and you know her precocious effort in going to front and running at these horses early. I mean, the likes of Marengo, Paper Trail, Soleil Levant, and so on. I mean, on paper, these horses are hard to beat, at least for a first timer, whether you're an import or a local. But her gallant effort in trying to set pace and running on to hit the board. I think when you come down to a smaller field, especially with some horses that I think would do with better, for lack of a better term, conditions, I think Zeba is hard to ignore here. I think she it stands a really good chance against these.
Yeah, she definitely caught the eye as she made her debut in a very deep race behind Soleil Levant Gold Cup Day. I just think Premise is a horse that's going to get lost. He's doing as well as any horse is doing right now at the Garrison. But then
Yes.
with the presence of, well, I'm not sure how quick Rene wants is anymore. Then there's Etta James and Marengo ultimately took the lead from Zeba on Gold Cup Day. So these are a lot of horses that could make Zeba uncomfortable, who granted will be better second time out. But Premise has won now 3 in a row since changing connections. He's stepping up. Then he gets Bellamy, 113 pounds with those horses going to the lead, like I mentioned. He could get some pace to run at. And again, a horse that's won 3 in a row is a horse that I want. Yes, he's stepping up in class, but I think he's doing as good as anyone. And why not Premise in a spot where Zeba's going to get bet and, other horses that have, I guess, higher and more notable wins in class kept.
Mhm.
But Premise, honestly, is the horse to beat for me. And I'm going to take Premise over Zeba. I think those are the two that are pretty much a lot. Then I'll go Dr. B, who's making a second start off the bench, who didn't run too terribly in the replay that you showed. And then Showtime, 130 pounds, obviously is a little alarming. They're sprinting, but she's doing really well right now. She's got 2 seconds and a win. I think a couple starts ago, she ran second, yeah, behind Premise with 128 pounds. So on that day, she got 8 pounds from Premise. this day, she's now giving Premise 17. So I really think on the handicap scale and the race dynamics that are projected in my eyes, Premise is the one to beat.
I mean, looking at it in the grand scheme, our third and fourth position, I think we share the same sentiments on.
Yeah,
But
100%.
we completely reverse or vice versa, our first and second. And I, as much as I love the apprentice claim on premise, I also am wary of the jockey change. Now, as much as he may benefit, new hands, new conditions, you never know what can happen. I think Zeba is a cut above these. And I mean, that might be a lot to say, but I also said so about Mystic Rain and Soleil Levant. And when they face open company, they pass with flying colors. So I'm staying on that tradition of sticking with the new import, the precocious horse. Let's see
Yeah,
what
these
Zeba
3-year-olds are
goes.
good.
They're
These 3-year-olds are
really,
good. I agree. Yeah,
I think the sky's
100%.
the limit for all of them.
Yeah, as a group, they're really top notch. And then even Etta James, who just a quick mention on her before we move on. Rashid Hughes gets on, and she had a very rough trip last time out, but she's a horse that really can show some speed and run really well. So I wouldn't be surprised to see her, you know, make our numbers shuffle around. Horse number 5. But I think, as you said, tough, nice group all together. Zeba's making her second start. I just think Premise might prove to be a little bit too much, but we'll see what they're going to do in race number 3, which is a very competitive Christopher J. Armo Memorial. Race number 4 is now the David Matthews Memorial, a lot of weights race at 1100 meters for our 3-year-old maidens, West Indian brides. Again, maybe horses trying to get some Derby points here. And not wanting to say in such a big field for maidens that there is such a thing as a lock, but this feels like a lock for Barnabas.
It does feel like a lot, and I think he is the horse that everyone's going to have their eyes on. One or two of them in here paid up for the Midsummer and the Guineas, and they're looking for their points to get him. But I think all eyes and all attention, deservedly so, is going to be on Barnabas. 2 seconds in his last 2 starts, Rashid Hughes jumps on, Antonio Perch trains. The blinkers are on, the tongue tie is on. I think it's going to take a lot to beat this horse, and I'm trying to find one to do so. I'm feeling like Star Time or Electra can be knocking around, but on paper, I'm finding it really difficult to handicap against Barnabas.
Yeah, I'm not even trying. So this is one of those races where if I'm beaten, it's probably from a lack of effort of looking because this horse is just doing everything right. He's improving with every start. That is what you want to see. And he's running as the races get tougher. He's stepping up to the plate. So who he's supposed to beat in this spot, like Electra and Star Time, he's already beaten and quite comfortably. Some of them more than once. So I think that Barnabas here with Rashid Hughes, another positive jockey change drawn on the inside, should get a really good trip. It's just a matter of finding who's second. For me, I went with Electra, who finished behind him when they were both behind Relentless. Also, she came back and finished behind him when they were all behind Undeniable. This is a horse that's run a lot. She's got that foundation. I think she'd actually be better at the 1100 meters right now. So she's going to be on my second line. Then I'm going to take a first time starter in Arias Stark, who is, again, because this field isn't super competitive, a lot of horses have run and not run well. I'm going to take a first time starter who is from the family of Show Me the Money. She's out of Cipriani, who is also a half sister to Mischief Maker. Now, that doesn't mean anything, but Mischief Maker is the dam of Maker's Mark and Burning Love. So there is a family tree here with talent and precocity. Also, she is by Dorset. So again, top and bottom, she's bred to be a good horse. I don't know much about her, haven't heard anything. And Perch is Perch is a trainer who can get them ready first time out. So I'm going to take her just in a field that isn't necessarily super attractive. And then on my fourth line, I'll take number 7, Star Time, who has run before, has shown some speed, and has run pretty solidly behind Barnabas and the others at 1100 meters and has the experience.
Yeah, Rashaun, as we mentioned, Barnabas is, in our opinion, the horse to beat. Now, my second and third lines, Star Time as well as Electra, are who I assume to be the pace setters. I expect the two of these to go forward and maybe even choke one another and make the race even easier for Barnabas. Now, on my fourth line, I am not confident. I think any and everybody can run fourth. I picked Tizza Flight, but let's be real. I think We Toto can run fourth. I think More Life can run fourth. I think Twinkle Toes can end up being fourth. It's not a solid fourth place for me, but the first three for sure. Excuse me. The first four for sure: Barnabas, Star Time, and Electra. I think those are my lock.
Yeah, it's a very open race, I think, after Barnabas, and we'll see who's going to get their points going into Triple Crown season. So we're going to move on to race number 5, the Antonio Corbin Memorial Handicap. This one's for the 30s and lower at 1,570 meters. And again, we talk about this all the time. When these races are carded, it really takes a fine tooth comb to find someone, even though it's very competitive on paper. Um, I'm not going to pretend like I'm very clever in these spots. I'm going to chalk out here with Caribbean Kid and Rashid Hughes. You're going to go social distance.
I felt like you took the safest shot with
Yeah.
whatever she was writing. I remember social distance because this is a few starts Richardine has had him. And I find Richardine takes, a couple of starts to get the hang of things, or maybe the horse to get the gist of what Richard wants. And, watching this horse start by start, I think he is on the improving scale. I think he is on the upward trajectory. But you also have to look at Richard's second shot, which is 70 million US. She's been missing for the last couple starts, but she's been there or there about maybe. But social distance, I think, that 35-40 on lower horse that we know to be ever so good under Richard should be able to dismiss these.
I liked him a few starts ago. I think actually coming out of this race that you showed behind Dream Late, and then he was nowhere to be found behind Fool Me Not at 4-1. Then he just went right back at the odds. This is
Yeah.
a horse that would have to beat me in this spot. You'd have to look all the way back to July of 2025 to find the race that he won when he was then owned by Lady Seal. And he was beating horses that are in this spot. And it was a good race, and that race can win here, but that was almost a year ago. So where is the social distance that can be competitive in this race at 127 pounds? I'm going to take someone, again, not saying that I have the most uh, confident opinion in this, but Caribbean Kitten ran really well last time. Rashid Hughes is getting on board. He usually runs pretty big races with lighter weight, so the 128 pounds definitely is cause for concern. But I also think sometimes it is a bout of confidence when a trainer or connections will see 128 pounds, 130 pounds, like in this race behind Princess Julia, she took 130 and not claim. If you think, you know what, I'm going to go here with the top impulse and I'm still going to beat these. And I think Caribbean Kitten, that might be a little bout of confidence that the 128 pounds will not be an issue with Hughes getting on board. Then I'm gonna go with number 9, Miss Universe. This is another one who I've been chasing for a very long time.
I, I, I found I feel like you have something personal with this one.
Yeah, she keeps placing, she keeps running okay races. Rashid Hughes obviously gets off now, but Thorpe on board claiming 5. If she's close to that 112 at that weight, why not Miss Universe, who's running pretty solid races in the field with horses that are very unpredictable and very inconsistent. She also can be part of the pace. So if she can get close or on the lead with 112 pounds, she can be very dangerous if she gets loose and comfortable. Then I'll take number 5, 17 million US. This one, admittedly, is just because it's 17 million US, because she's another one that really, at 10 years old, even late in her 9-year-old season, she's not running amazing. I think the only time now with 17 million US where I blink and pick her is like when it's wet. But right now, 17 million US is not giving me the confidence that I want to take her in this spot. Like last time she lost to Rush, Prominent, and Zara. So I don't know. And she had 128 then. So I don't know if 128 in this spot she's even going to place. And then on my fourth line, I'll take number 4, Visionary. It wasn't up and down between him and Social Distance. But again, because of the weight and the claim, if he gets 113 pounds, I'll take a 113 Visionary over a 127 Social Distance. So I'll go 195 and 4 in the Antonio Corbin Memorial, but I really could go. I really can be persuaded in this spot.
What's amazing to me, Rashaun, is that this race runs almost every race day at a different distance, and it's still so hard to handicap. I mean, for example, Temple Dancer won this race just last race day, and one or two phases were missing, and we don't have him on any of our first fours going
Right.
7.8. I mean, on my third line, I have horse number 8, Gabby's Girl. Gabby's Girl just ran 106 and change sprinting. I don't know where she pulled that from, but if she can at least give me that pace and speed it out at the top of the stretch, she should be able to hold on for 4 to close out my first 4. I went for your winner, horse number 1, Caribbean Kitten. I think this one kind of prefers it a little bit softer, a little bit more of a give under the foot, but it's left to be seen. I mean, anything can happen here. These races are as much as they're expected, and we're accustomed to seeing them. They're still so hard to handicap. I don't get it.
Yeah, 100%. It's a challenge, but that's what makes horse racing interesting when you have these races that you can go different directions. But we'll see how race number five goes. And we're going to move on to race number six. It's the Sheila Mackenzie Memorial Handicap, 1100 meters for the 3-year-old maidens, 3-year-old and older maidens rated 50 and below. And this is a race where, Kobia, our opinions don't differ that much. We have the same four horses, just a different order.
Yeah, I feel like you're always trying to be like me. But I remember horse seven, Faster Cash. As I mean, let's look back at it. Faster Cash just ran at the 60s and lowers and made no issue about it whatsoever. I mean, running at horses like Leah or the Binary Code. So in my eyes, this is more so of a step down in class, if anything at all. This horse was three wide basically the entire trip, maybe the smallest horse in this race, but maybe with the biggest heart, and sat down and watched Leah and Binary Code fight it up front and made a run for glory at the top of the stretch. Now, as I mentioned, Rashaun, this is a step down in class in her books, at least on paper, at least. This horse can repeat this run. I don't see why this horse should be handing in her maiden certificate. I mean, after however long it's been, she should be setting pace. She should be going pillar to post. The only other horse I saw giving her any kind of trouble was maybe Poseidon, but after the 12 draw, I wasn't interested one bit. I thought Foster Castle up front, Poseidon second, and just about any and everybody could be third and fourth.
Well, okay, I started by saying that we have the same horses, so our opinions don't differ, but my opinion on Fasticast differs completely from yours. I have her on my third line. I think you are correct. On paper, it is a step down back into maidens, 50 and lowers from 60s and open class. But
Mhm.
make no mistake, she had 110 pounds. She's going to have 109 here. So the weight is pretty much the same. But she was in a race of horses that are very inconsistent and haven't run strung good races together a lot. And let it be me, one of those horses that had a form, I guess, didn't have a great trip. So I think Faster Cash's last race is a little dressed up, but I do respect her, have her here. I'm going to take number 12, Poseidon, who finished third in his last maiden start behind How You Doing Espresso. I picked How You Doing this day. Espresso, who had the world of trouble, came out of this race and was able to win on Gold Cup Day in open maiden company, I guess, if you want to say it like that. Actually, it
Mhm.
was just open company. It wasn't even a maiden race, it was just open company. And on top of that, Poseidon, who sped to the lead in this race, beat Faster Cash. And where I disagree is that I think Poseidon's going to be in front of Faster Cash. I don't think Faster Cash is going to lead this race. It's if she can run down Poseidon, who is going to be giving her 12 pounds. But I think Poseidon is continuing to make steps in the right direction and ran behind two good horses in his last start. So I wouldn't be surprised if Poseidon is the one that's going to win this race. Also on the 12 draw, with the 7 pound claim, I was very grateful to see that number one and number 10 got scratched. So it brings him from 12 into 10, which I think makes him a little bit more attractive. Then,
Minimal difference.
then two other horses to talk about that we both have. Obviously, at first it seemed a little unfair to see Magnific in this field, but then as you got further down, you see other horses that could give her a run for her money. But Hughes gets on board 128 pounds. She's run with them all: open company maidens, the good, the bad, and the in between. So Magnific, the weight isn't necessarily a big bother at this trip with these horses. Then I'll take Faster Cash. And then number 9, Love Bug, cutting back. I think this is a really well bred horse. Daily Quill, a Gold Cup winner and track record holder out of a 2-year-old champion they haven't sent, who was doing everything until Are You Talking to Me came about. So top to bottom, bred to be good, has run some good races at the trip of 1,570 meters and even 1,800 meters. So now cutting back to 1,100 meters will have that foundation and probably could come running late. And again, not trying to convince you of these four, we just have it in a different order.
Yes, just as simple as that. But we move on to the second last race. This is the Claire Melville Memorial Handicap. This race goes 7.8 for horses rated 50 and below. And Rashaun, we just about land on the same horse here once again. This is a horse number 15, Heidi Marie. And I mean, after her last performance, going 9 furlongs, 21st of March with Black 8, she had about 115 pounds. So she does step up 10 pounds, but she was by far the best horse. She had a wide trip and she was there the entire way.
Yeah, after disagreeing with you on Faster Cash, I have to agree 100% on Heidi Marie. Obviously, this is a horse that in my mind I had chalked up to just being a horse that can run when it's wet. But she put that to bed
Yeah,
when she
I
romped
totally
here. Yeah, she romped here on firm going. I think it was very impressive. And if she repeats this race, cutting back to 1,570 meters, they're gonna get the same view of her that they got this day. I think it was very impressive that Heidi Marie was able to win like this. Obviously, the big question mark for me, as you said, this was with 115 pounds. Now she has 125. Is she supposed to be, 10 pounds better than Dream Lake, who's claiming? Is she supposed to be even 15 pounds better than, sorry, 11 pounds better than Malala, for example, or 7 pounds better than Red Eagle? That's
Okay.
the question mark. But if it is answered that she is, I don't see how they beat her off that performance if she duplicates that. And again, Hughes is like, I want to be on Heidi Marie. I just have to think she's the horse far and away to be in this spot.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I did land on one of the horses you just mentioned on my second card. Horse number one, Red Eagle. I mean, Red Eagle has been super consistent in this class for however long. If you look back at his last three starts, they're second, a fourth, and a third in races ranging from 7.8 to 9 furlongs in basically the same class. So he's not unfamiliar to these at all. But, with these high five races, they're so deep, they're so difficult to call. You really got to put a whim out there. I went with horse number eight, Show Me the Milk. Missing Ricky Walker this time, gone with Jarrell Beckles. So a jock change, maybe a change of hands can do this horse a bit better. Let's see how that goes. For my fourth place, I went with horse number 11, Social Circle. And horse number 16, Let It Be Me, who's been there or thereabout, lacking a bit of consistency with her shots. But should be good enough to at least hit the board in this class. There are some other names like the Tom Malala, the spoiled child, as I would have mentioned, some other inconsistent horses who could shock you. Octavia Sienna, who's, handed her maiden certificate not too long ago, but is yet to find her footing against the pure open class. But I think you're pretty cemented on our winning horse, Heidi Marie.
Underneath Heidi Marie, I'm going to take number 13, Dream Late. Again, really good claim here, 7 pounds off. So 115 pounds. He's also bested Red Eagle, who you have on your second lane. I'm going to put him on my third lane. The last two races that Dream Late won, Red Eagle was right behind him in both of them. So I think these two can come back here underneath of Heidi Marie. Then I'll take number 8, Show Me the Milk, who disappointed as the favorite last time out. Ricky Walker opts for Red Eagle here in this spot. But she's a horse that can really hang with these. She's really well weighted and she'll be forwardly placed. And I think when a horse is okay enough in the class and will be part of the pace, they're more likely to place than a horse coming from behind. So I think that Show Me the Milk is the horse that can run out the fourth for me. And then I'll do the Spoiled Child, number 6. And these spoiled childs are very is an enigma, to put it nicely. I'm not sure how much further down the class he needs to fall till he finds a happy home, till he finds his, as we say, his friends. So I'm gonna try him here 6. If you look at his form, he just keeps running fourth, fifth, fourth, and it's like, okay, in this high five race, he's a horse that you'd want to play. Again, he's also claiming 3 pounds, so I'm not super sold on Despot Child because I'm not sure yet where he's gonna land, but Despot Child is a horse that is worth a risk in this spot in race number 7.
And so we move on to the very last race where we see the return of the queen, Nostradasa. She's going into Gordon Lewis Moore handicap, going 5.5, which is rated for horses 115 and lower. She's been off for about 84 days. We have not seen Queen Bee since the 17th of January, where she did beat Major Dan and Brilliant News, a horse that is in this race. Actually, two horses that are in this race, how competitive it can be. But she now adds the likes of Warbeat, Show the Money, Brenner Pass, and Dancing Prospector. Rashaun, how do you feel about her going here?
Well, I have her on top, and I'm not necessarily super eager to play her, but she's a horse that's won, what is it, 9 of her 15 starts, so she knows what it takes to win, and it's hard to look against her when she has the pace in her favor. She's well weighted at 120 pounds, and she's going to get the conditions that are favorable. So it's really the same old with Nostradamus in this spot where she'll be very, very tough to beat. Now, now we're having horses dropping out of the spa, most notably for me, War Beat, who was third, and Dancing Prospector, who was fourth. Now, Nostradamus missed her intended start in the spa sprint, and obviously you wonder, would she have been able to run in that race and compete? That race was won in 105. She's been able to win races in 105 as well. So I think she is cut out to beat these horses. But again, she didn't break super well in her last start. So maybe if Major Dan can make her uncomfortable, she might be in a little bit of trouble. But the good Nostradamus is going to win this race. Then Warbeat cutting back to 1100 meters in the spa, showed some speed in the spa. He was about fourth or fifth early. He showed speed in the Coolmore. So he's starting to show these better place tactics early. So I have him second, and then Dancing Prospector, who just knocks on every door and it opens. And I think in this spot he'll be competitive again. So I'll take 6, 2, and 3 for I think what will be a very chalky trifecta if it hits.
Yeah, I think Nostradamus is maybe my one lock for the day. On the second line, I did go with horse number 4, Major Dan, who has been there or thereabout, whether it's been with 105 or 132 pounds. This horse has been knocking at the door, but I think second, as we would have seen back in January, is the best he's going to run against Nostradamus. I don't think anyone is going to be able to challenge her for the early speed. I mean, let's look at the field. Brilliant News isn't fast enough. Shorty Money isn't fast enough. Warbeat is a close. And the others, as much as they are fast, I think Nostradamus does hold the toes over them. And Major Dan, who I think will have to sit Chile in second if he wants a chance at hitting the board. Warbeat is my third place horse, horse number 2. And I think he has pace to run at, but unless someone goes uncharacteristically and tries to push Nostradamus early, I don't think the pace is going to come back much. Maybe he can get Major Dan for second, but Nostradamus is going to be far ahead. Second place is between Warbeat and Major Dan. That's how it goes for this race day. Nostradamus is back.
Yeah, so it's going to be a very low key, but the stars are out race day. But as always, thank you so much for tuning in to Pillar to Post. Please follow us on Instagram, on X, Facebook, and subscribe to our YouTube. And good luck playing the ponies for the honoring the former Barbados Turf Club Employees Race Day. I mean, all your tickets be winning ones.